What number again? Oh. Hello. Welcome to Gender Nebulous. What number are we on?
Oh, Vicky? Thanks.
You're gonna have to tell me.
43. 43. Episode 43.
43. Fantastic. So, I've had a bit of a bumpy day.
Yeah, let's talk about what you were doing this morning, because you had breakfast with Julia Hartley-Brewer, didn't you?
I did. I had I had tea and crumpets with Brewer.
Brewer.
Yeah. So what? There's a bit of a backstory to that, because I was supposed to go on with Julia Hartley-Brewer a couple of months ago, and she cancelled it last minute. I got up at like 7:00 in the morning, and I was waiting. I went on the Zoom, and then at the last minute it just got cancelled, and she didn't tell me why. Right. So I've been kind of like messaging her now and again, and sort of dropping the hint on different places. And she's too scared of me. She doesn't want me on. So I thought, because I was trying to bait her a little bit,
so
and it did work a little bit. Well, so I thought, no, because I thought she is, Julia Hartley-Brewer is the main person. She's one of the main people anyway, especially on talk radio, that promotes Kelly J. Keane. Kelly J. Keane has been on Talk TV, I can count 55 times, right? So, and it's usually it's been on Kevin O'Sullivan, it's been on Mike Graham, and it's been on Julia Hartley-Brewer. And Julia Hartley-Brewer's I think she's got a lot of power there, because she's like connected to spiked online people and all that kind of. Let's not get into that kind of conspiracy theory territory.
It's not a conspiracy. Go down that rabbit hole. Not quite yet. Not yet.
So yeah, I got the call. So, do you want to come on Julia Hartley-Brewer? And I thought, like, well, what? Because she told me she wanted to talk about this. See, when they tell you what they want to talk about, it's never that thing. They're never really interested in the meat and potatoes of any particular subject, or what it means for people on the ground, or what it means. Because they want to talk about, section 35 being, 35, the Scottish, the Scottish gender recognition reform, which was blocked by Westminster. So Scotland is now contesting that ruling, rightly so. So. Her whole thing is like, oh, well, they're kicking up a fuss now, wasting a load of money fighting this. It's not going to go anywhere. So, no, the Scottish government is not kicking up a fuss. They're actually responding to a real, it's like an attack on democracy, isn't it? If they were saying...
it's funny you should mention that, because today I got an email from my MP, just happens to be Mr. Speaker.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so in that email...
Lindsay Hoyle,
yeah. It's a bit weird having Lindsay Hoyle as your MP, because he can't vote in anything. So it's like, there's not much point in having an MP. But, there's a document here which is you probably can't see that because of the green screen.
Yeah,
but this was...
I can see it, but I can't read it.
This is the policy statement of reasons on the decision to use Section 35 powers with respect to the Gender Recognition Reform Scotland Bill. So this thing is, God, it's about 13 pages of waffle. So I printed it out, and I was just reading through it, and it's worded in kind of, legalese, and it's really surprising how closely it resembles, the letter that was sent from Baroness Faulkner, EHRC woman, to Kimmy Badenoch. That was the Equality and Human Rights decision that they're kind of trying to make on the HRC about biological sex. Well, that document is about, 20 pages long. Similar thing.
I can't really see it, but yeah.
The language in the two, it's really interesting how it's very much the same. So you can clearly see that, these things have been done on different dates for different things, but they have common language and common kind of points that they make in them.
So what do you make of that?
It really kind of talks to that. It's not a conspiracy theory for me to say that in the background, these people are communicating about these things. It's clear when you read those two documents. You can see the connections.
Yeah, but I don't know what you mean. Do you mean like they're all? Because I think there's probably one standard letter, and they have to agree on some kind of consensus about what they're going to say.
It's just the points that they make. Why the reasons that they list for 35 Section 35 thing, and then the reasons they list for why they want to make, the equality at biological sex.
Right.
There's very similar reasons in both. It's just obvious how they're communicating behind the scenes. This is what is supposed to be an independent equality commission, talking behind the scenes with Tory, I don't know, what's his name? The guy who did that, he's the Scottish representative.
I don't know. It's Scottish Tories. Yeah, I know what you mean, but I don't remember his.
He's the guy who blocked the gender recognition reforms in Parliament. He's the only one Tory. Who wrote that. But the language is the same. So call me a conspiracy theorist, but it's very similar.
Well, I don't know. I mean, the thing is, going back to that about Scotland they have to contest that. It's a stupid thing. It's like it's just trying to stop democracy from happening. And people like Julia Hartley-Brewer would have been the first to say, it's the will of the people. When it came down to Brexit, she was like, it's the will of the people. You're attacking democracy if you question Brexit.
So was today's question, was that around the conversation with Brewer, was that around this decision for, Scotland is taking this to court?
That's what she's pretending it is, but really she just wants to attack. She's just using the trans issue as a code. She comes in and says, "I don't want to be involved in these cultures." She is the culture war. Yeah. She promotes it. Her whole career is based on it.
Well, that whole channel is, isn't
it? The whole TV station is based on immigrants, trans people, and climate science.
Yeah, well, I was listening to it. On the way into work this morning, I was listening to the show, expecting you to come on about 9ish.
Yeah.
But what she was talking about was immigrants and how they're bringing viruses into the country. It's just like
because she's talking about diphtheria.
I did bring that up diphtheria and how they're not vaccinating immigrants for diphtheria. And I'm thinking, well, I'm sure that the level of vaccination in this country for diphtheria is so high that even if you didn't vaccinate people coming in, it's not going to spread anything.
They'll just take this tiny bit of data and then use that to mean, because all they're trying to do there is scare people into thinking that immigrants are bringing viruses into the country. Exactly. Sarah Warner in the chat just reminded me the Scottish Secretary's surname is Jack, right? Something Jack, I don't know. I don't know his first name. The only Tory I remember the name of is Kit Malthouse for some reason. Kit Malthouse.
That rings a bell from the other night, actually. Not sure.
Yeah, I got a bit drunk, didn't I?
You did.
I started going on about Kit Malthouse.
We went out for a little,
I don't know about that.
Little dinner, didn't we, to celebrate my...
So talking about Talk TV, like Talk TV, right, if you look at Talk TV's feed, you go to the Twitter, if you go to the YouTube, and just as an experiment, and look at how many times they've mentioned Dylan Mulvaney in the last 7 days. Just look at that.
It's been all over Twitter.
Now, what they're doing there is they know the kind of people that watch that. They know the kind of people they're appealing to, and they know that the synapses are going to be firing. And, so that's why, I've got me Bud Light.
Yeah, I tried to... I was going to get some from the supermarket on the way home, so I'm on Stella.
Solidarity with Dylan. There you go. And but it's complete nonsense. It's just this constant thing. So I go in there, and I'm not bothered about being the nice. Because at first I thought I'm just going to sit pretty and I'm going to listen to her, but she's so hard to listen to because she's like a sort of machine gun for a vending machine for nonsense, and it's like it's really hard not to go whoa, wait a minute, what the hell did you just say? But you can't do that. You've got to let her sort of run out of energy a little bit and then come in. And anyway, I did that and I did all right. I made the points I wanted to make. I wish I'd have been a bit more forceful with the facts because she was definitely making up numbers about Scottish people not wanting the jet. She said something about that, didn't she? I can't remember exactly what.
Well, I think she mentioned about two or three times. I'm losing my voice here. She was going on about the polls in Scotland don't support gender recognition reform. Yeah. You know, the people of Scotland don't support this. I think she said that about 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, but what she's referring to there is Twitter polls.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the point, isn't it? What poll are you talking about? What was the questions? Yeah. How was it framed? Who did you ask? I mean, if she's talking about we polled, you know, the viewers of my show, well, we know what the answer's going to be, don't we? Because every time they do polls on those things, they come back biased.
Yeah. Let me tell you now what I wanted to say to Julia Hartley-Brewer, but she didn't give me time to say. But I was waiting, and she just cut it off quickly because the time was running out. But what I wanted to say was, and I was reminded this later, that when things like this come to Parliament, not everything is a referendum. You don't go to the public at large to ask their opinion on everything, because in terms of like gay liberation, LGBT rights in the past, it wasn't the will of the people. The politicians just knew that overall these were more, you know, humanitarian, they're more inclusive, and that's progression. That's what you're going towards, a more progressive end. Now, Julia Hartley-Brewer thinks everything's a referendum because that's how they do politics now. It's about polling, focus groups, and all that nonsense. So, Julia Hartley-Brewer, you know, you could poll a whole country of people, and if you pitch that question in the right way, you'll get the answer you want. So if you go to the people and go, do you want trans women in male toilets? The first thing they're going to think is something scary or something. And that's why they employ. Yep. This is why they employ people. Well, I say employ, they kind of like do it of their own volition because they're completely nuts. But people like LGBT Alliance, people like For Women Scotland, people like Sex Matters, because they can manufacture and they can pitch these arguments that are basically a collection of scare stories to make people vote a certain way. And that is what talk radio is. That's all it is. And it's not, you don't ask, imagine a world where the decisions of this country came down to a talk radio Twitter poll. Because that is the version of the world that Julia Hartley-Brewer wants. And remember, it wasn't long ago that
JHB as Prime Minister, that would be a disaster. Well,
what's he called? Lee Anderson was talking about bringing back the death penalty a few months ago. So we don't want to live in that world. No, we don't want to live in a world where being shouty and putting a Twitter poll out is the way we make decisions about people. We just don't want. And if it comes to that, you know what it's called? It's called fascism. And that's why I put that little book on the back of my shelf, How to Spot a Fascist. And she tells on herself quite quickly because she says, oh, you call everybody a Nazi, don't you? No, I was going to say, no, just you. But I said, oh, so you sort of, you agree with that then, do you? Because she brought up Nazi. I never said Nazi. I never said anything. But she knew where she was going. It's like, she knows just enough to know. You know what?
Right, so I'm gonna put the chat up on the screen. Some comments coming through now. So
I've seen Sarah, Alexandra, Miss White, Mix White.
So who have we got on there? We've got somebody
somebody
called Miss Freda Wallace. Don't know who she is. Critical Cupcake. Hello. Who else? Alexandra Lily White, Sarah Warner. And MX White. So, do you want to read out some of the comments, Freda?
Well, I was just really... I'm usually busy at this time. It's great to see you. I'm usually busy, but I thought I'd just come in because I'm bored.
Who, you?
No,
which one was that?
Alexandra Lily White. And why do you think 15-minute cities are a conspiracy? Well, the thing is, this is something that I put on Twitter, I think, about these 15-minute cities.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that reference was, actually.
What it was, I think it was a council in Cambridge, and they had this idea of making pedestrianised zones, and everything should be within a 15-minute walking distance. Okay. It's like it's how European cities had a model.
So were you saying that was a conspiracy or something?
So there was like this strange conspiracy that they were shutting off roads and stopping people getting out or something. I couldn't really get my head around it. And what it came down to was cycle lanes. And there is these kind of scare stories because they make pedestrianised zones to make things safe for children playing in the street and blah blah blah. And even that, I don't know the full. Obviously, I don't really follow like city planning conspiracy theories, but the same people. The reason it was a red flag is because the same people who were talking about this trans panic and talking about critical race theories and all this. The same people were talking about 15-minute cities, and the main person I noticed was Sharon Davis, the swimmer, the ex-swimmer, who thinks she's got some opinions on whether trans people should be allowed in sport.
I've never heard this phrase though before. 15-minute cities. That's a new one to me.
Yeah. Anyway, Google it. Anyway, she. I mean, I don't know. There might be some truth. There might be a seed of truth in there about whether it's for good or bad.
Was there a podcast on this? Because Mux White has said podcast. Was there a podcast on this?
Well, there's been loads of stories about it, but most of the ones I've seen are coming from.
I'll have a look at your tweet and see what you're on about.
I mean, there might be some truth to it, or there might be a seed of truth about city planning being not, going against what people want or something. But the crux of it is that it's part of a collection of conspiracy theories that seem to be peddled by kind of, the right. And that just was a red flag. So I don't know any more about it than that. So,
yeah, it's really interesting how Sharon Davis has become so famous when she only actually won one silver medal. I mean, that's.
The only reason anybody knows who she is now is because
who else do you know that won one
people.
Silver medal that's as famous as Sharon Davis? It's like nobody.
I mean, she was selling swimwear and doing some kind of keep fit videos before 2020.
I certainly don't follow.
Yeah, I was going to say another thing. Like the problem with going on anything like that is the odds are stacked against you in terms of media clout. Because like Talk TV has hundreds of thousands of followers. Julia Hartley-Brewer herself has quite a lot. So when these people retweet things, most of the comment, it might feel like, oh, everybody hates us, and but it's because most of their followers already believe what they say. They're not going to listen to me and go, oh God, you know what, this trans woman, she might be right. they see the word trans in any news story and they just go, right, this is bollocks. I hate this. Get it off my telly. That's their only attitude, and they try and have a little bit of a discussion with me. So I try and write back and put some facts in there, put a few links. But by the time you're getting 100 comments, you think, oh, sod this. So there might be some positive stuff in there, but I'll never find it. There are some nice comments, obviously, and I've got and a few people followed me, and Graham Linehan retweeted it, and it was like, oh, Jesus, get off me. It feels like it's so dirty. It feels so dirty when Graham Linehan retweets you. It's like, oh, you'd feel like deleting your Twitter.
Sharon Davis was a gladiator. We've just been informed. Yeah, I remember that.
Oh, yeah.
So 15-minute cities is just a way of boosting local economies and local town centres and high streets rather than out of town driving wells. Yeah, okay.
That's right. Yeah, that's what I've heard. Because they were talking about pedestrianised zones and things like that. I'm not sure how this relates to.
I'll look it up.
I think it's to do with like media.
Sounds interesting. Yeah.
Media conspiracies, but it's nice. It's like, I mean, I don't think it's anything new, is it? I mean, like most cities in Europe, they have like piazzas and pedestrianised areas, and people get around on bikes, and that's the model that a lot of British cities want. But one of the problems with it, one of the problems with our landscape is it's quite hilly, isn't it? Imagine if you had to, your only way of getting around was on a bike in Burnley or somewhere like that, where it's really bad. But the thing is now everybody's getting electric bikes. So it's
I have electric bikes.
When they improve. So anyway, I mean, I didn't think we'd be talking about electric bikes.
Yeah, that's the topic that's not on my list.
On the Gender Nebulous podcast. But it might be a topic worth pursuing, Vicky, because some trans women have still got the genitalia. Is it more comfortable to ride a bike with a crossbar?
Yeah.
And if you go for the operation, do you have to suddenly get a different bike?
Okay, so
I'm getting
talking of operations.
I'm getting an operation,
okay, go on. Yeah. Then. You're going to mention it. Go on, carry on.
Well, I'm having an operation tomorrow, aren't I?
What? What was it? What you haven't done?
Well, let's put it this way. I'm going from a size B to a size E.
E?
So you can make of that what you wish.
I thought you said it was double D. It's gone to an E now? Oh my God.
It's double D, E double D.
Somewhere in that region.
Once it's sat... Look at me feeling my boobs on the podcast. Sorry. Do you like my T-shirt?
Not really, no.
Yeah.
Because you bought that.
Anyway, so I'm the...
Yeah.
I bought and donated the money to mermaids.
Yeah, I know. So, yeah.
This was
a good thing to do. You can't buy the T-shirt and not make a donation to mermaids.
I bought this for a performance. This is a prop.
Yeah, I know.
I bought this as a prop for a performance. It's not. I'm not buying this unironically, please.
Critical Cup says, Cake says, don't get the foot enlargement.
Well, that's what my mum said, because she says, "Oh, you'll be top heavy. You'll need bigger shoes."
Yeah, you're gonna be falling over.
So I don't blow over in the wind.
You're gonna be like a weeble.
So anyway, Talk TV rang me back about 5:00 this afternoon.
Oh yeah, they want you back on.
And they asked me. They just said, "Do you want to go on a show on Saturday?" And I had to say, "I'm going having an operation." And I don't know why I said it.
I don't think that would actually stop you from going on. You've had an operation tomorrow. That wouldn't stop you going on Saturday night. You'd be raring to go by then.
No, I don't. I don't want to be on Talk TV. I don't want to get to be known as the tranny on Talk TV. Do you know what I mean?
I think you might be a bit late for that.
It's like, here's Freda. No, it's like here's a resident tranny. That's what would happen.
As we've said before, these kind of shows are not the best kind of things to go on. But if you're the only voice out there, making a difference, well, yeah, why not? I mean, Robin Moira White's going on. I think it's on. Is it GB News on Saturday night on some show? I'm not sure what 7 to 8. I think it is. I think they're talking about the Scottish thing as well.
I think it's Andrew Doyle's show. But the thing is with that, see, Robin Moira Wright is very matter of fact. She knows, she's all about the law. That's what she does. Where I'm more. I wouldn't say I'm like I'm sort of a bit irreverent. You know what I mean? I'm not. I liked going on shows where there is a certain element of not comedy. I don't know what it is. It's like there is a sort of element that you lean into. There is a bit of a ridiculous. I don't know. I can't describe it, but it's not completely serious, and it's like I can hit the facts. I can talk about. I can actually talk factually, but my personality isn't really serious. I mean, I can be serious, but what I mean is, you can see me sort of smirking a bit and sort of, I'm a bit. I don't think it's that I'm trying to be funny. It's just I'm trying to diffuse the situation with a kind of irony, and I don't know if it works, but it works.
Yeah, it works. It does work. I mean, you do. It works. Today's one. I've not watched it, but I did listen to it as I drove home. I mean, it was. You made some good points.
I don't know if anybody in the chat watched it, but there's a bit where I feel like I'm leaning into the camera and I'm sort of.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
Because I'm almost kind of pointing at the camera, and I thought, don't do that, because I was like, listen, Julia, I'll only say this once. I feel like I was going to do that at one point, but I'm not a bully. I'm not gonna talk over somebody. But sometimes when you're really keen and you know exactly what you want to say, you need to get that point across. I will say, whoa, hang on a minute. What you just said is bollocks, and I'll tell you why it's bollocks. But you can't do that on the radio. You can't be that forceful.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to sound. I think you've got to have a few rules that you follow, haven't you? Like. Stick to try and make sure, have your list of points and make sure you make them no matter what happens. So no matter what the conversation is, make your points. I think that's number one. And then, no personal attacks and don't interrupt people is number two. But, we all do that.
But I didn't attack Julia. I pulled her up on what she was saying. So, I mean, the mistake I made before when I talked to Debbie Hayton is I started to talk about, I did attack her and I shouldn't have done that. So anyway, but yeah, I'm gonna say that like we was going to talk about representation and what the kind of
Yeah.
trans people you see on the media.
Well,
And
it's
I
how we're
think,
perceived, isn't it? What we were going to talk
and
about.
I don't, because I'm always aware, am I representative of something? Do people look at me and then go, oh, yeah, that's what a trans person is? But I don't think they really do. And I
No, but
don't think
if you to look at the general population of cis people, nobody represents cis people, do they? They just exist as cis
no,
people.
but I think if you're an outlier, if you are the only one, then that's why Dylan Mulvaney gets so many views and so many, because he becomes the brand
Yeah, but
of
we should
that.
expect variation, shouldn't we, within
Yeah,
our
we should expect it.
community?
We should expect it, but
there should be a cross section of all kinds of people.
yeah, I think the point I'm trying to make is that I do think, right, I want to come across well, because there are people out there who are going to be watching that and go, I would have said this, I would have said that. You didn't say that right, and you need to be this. And I'm fully aware of that. And every time somebody talks to me after, I take it on board. Obviously, I can't be all things. I can't be like,
No, nobody expects you to be all things.
but
You
I
are
think
you.
criticism is good, because criticism means people are thinking about what you said. If people ignore it, they'll never know. If somebody comes to me and says, look, this is, as long as it's not just abusive, like on Talk TV comments where they go, oh, well, you're just a bloke. Well, that makes me laugh.
I mean,
Honestly,
you are going into the lion's den a little bit on those shows. I mean,
those kind of comments go over me. It's
I mean, I wouldn't hold back with Julia Hartley-Brewer.
Yeah.
I mean, she's not exactly
exactly,
come across nice all the time, does she? So,
yeah. Well, it cracks me up so much, some of the comments, because I do not take that personally, because it's just so ridiculous. What annoys me more than anything is when people seem genuine and say, well, can you tell me about this? And then you've wasted your time talking to somebody because you have a couple of comments, and then they turn around and go, well, I believe that all trans people are groomers. And then, well, why did you waste my time? Just say that at the beginning. Do you know what I mean? Because I've just wasted my time trying to explain something to you, and you don't care about that. You just wanted to waste my time. So you've got to be careful of that. And obviously, I could probably like waste a load of time today on Twitter, like I did, because I had a day off, and I just get loads of comments and I end up talking to people that are probably just there to troll me. And but because I'm bored, I've just gone in for it. And then at the end of the day, you think, well, what have I achieved? What?
So,
whose mind have I changed?
I don't know. Well, let's just read out some of the comments here. I can't go back too far because they're going off the end of my screen. So Hayton winds me up so much. Yes, I agree. Debbie Hayton deserved it. Stop apologising. Yes. Julia was being antagonistic. Yeah, she's vile. Yeah, I agree with all those statements. And Victoria Elizabeth is saying, well, alcohol negatively impact your healing? Why are you drinking before an operation?
No. This is my last drink now.
And it's a Bud Light, I suppose. That's not very strong, is it? So, yeah.
It's something a Bud Light. Well, I've actually got a whiskey on the other side.
Yeah, right, I don't think you can compare Bud Light to whiskey.
This is more of a prop, to be honest. I drank most of it before we came on. But so yeah, I was thinking about.
Yeah, we don't have too much tonight because you are having an operation tomorrow. Yeah,
we have talked about this before, about trans people.
We've talked about representation. We've not talked about how we're perceived.
Yeah. But within the group of what you could call trans people, trans women mainly, it tends to come down to people focusing on that. But we're so diverse within that group that you can see people being underrepresented within that group. So like white trans women, obviously overrepresented. So and trans women that are heteronormative or cisnormative, because that's obviously what the media like. And like, say, somebody like India Willoughby, somebody like Paris Lees can fulfill a certain kind of daytime TV media role, because I don't think it's just because they're easier on the eye. It's just because they have a certain way of carrying themselves, whereas other people might be more like me, a bit more gobby and a bit less fitting into a woman's shape. bot, whatever. You know what I mean? I don't really try and do that, but where am I going with this?
Don't know.
So what I'm saying is, like, there's no one way of being a trans woman, So, like, I want to see people out there just be visible, no matter what it is. You just own it. Whatever you look like, that is you, and you are valid, no matter what that
be
is.
proud of who you are and how you look.
And I want that to see that in the
I
media.
mean, I would say don't try and be something that you're not. I mean, I think that's important.
Yeah.
I don't think we shouldn't necessarily always agree with each other about things either. Although that does tend to happen quite a lot in some kind of the community stuff that goes on. We should encourage diversity of the way we talk about things, because no group is like the hive mind, is it? I mean, we need to have that diversity.
I think you'll find that in terms of a time of stress, in a time when people think
that is true. We are under a lot of stress.
We look at each other and we go, right, what are we going to do? Do you know what I mean? It's like we have to group and we have to stand as one. So we have to have a certain kind of consensus about what the message is. And I don't think that means thought policing people. It just means, like, if you're gonna go into the media, if you're going to represent the issues and whatsoever, you have to do it. Not necessarily in a uniform way, but you have to be consistent. So don't,
it depends who you are, doesn't it? I mean, like, Robin Moira White, she's going on as a barrister, so she's going to be talking about law issues. I mean, you can't really do that because you don't know about the law.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we do have to learn these things.
Yeah, like that's a conversation we were having the other day, isn't it? It's amazing all the things we've had to learn.
Yeah, but this is what I was going to say. Like, right, because of who we are, I've had access to law, like professionals, and I've been able to just WhatsApp somebody and say, "Can you help me with this?" Yeah. There's no other way I would have been able to do that. That's true. Not for free. and because we are a community, we know lawyers, we know people work in the house sector, we know people that work in what I was going to say, military even, and any kind of that might be useful. Let's not go there. But you know what I mean? We know people from all walks of life. So say you had a problem and you said, "Oh, right, I need," if you've got an issue.
Yeah, I mean, I know what you're saying. I mean, being in the community, we have access to all kinds of people.
Who does, because do you know what I've noticed? And a lot of people don't say this, but the group, like, we're a minority. We all tend to be pretty geeky. Or have an obsession. Maybe it's something. Maybe it's something about.
Have you noticed though? Since you and I have known each other, we've met quite a lot of well-known people because of the events we've been to, and it's all because we're trans.
Yeah,
I mean, that wouldn't have happened otherwise, would it?
Do you know who was on the telly earlier? Katie Price and Harvey, because of this scandal about we met Katie Price. Well, I don't know if they were at the Diversity Awards.
They were,
and I spoke to Katie Price. I say spoke to her, I just sort of waved and went, "Hiya," but it's like that was nice,
You mean you were girl fanning her?
But I was gonna say I don't want tits that big. Gosh,
The thing I remember about Katie Price was the reason I noticed her when she walked in. Well, we were sat at our table and the entourage walked past us, didn't they? The first thing I noticed about her was how white her teeth are. She's got like teeth
Well, that's
so
something
bright and white. It was like, wow.
Well, do you know what I was saying before about it doesn't matter what you look like, just go out there and I'm going.
No, don't start comparing yourself to Katie Price, please.
I feel like I'm a bit of an hypocrite because I'm getting my teeth done and I'm getting my tits done this week.
So you're modelling yourself on somebody?
I want to be Katie Price, don't I? I'm going to become like a bimbo kind of. Not that she's a bimbo. If anybody don't want this to get out that I call Katie Price bimbo, I meant that in the kind of. I meant in no. There's a certain style of dressing and a certain style of thing that is called bimbofication. I don't even heard of this. It's not. I don't think it's a negative. I think it's political. I don't think it's negative because political bimbofication is what I'm all about. And look at what Pussy Riot are doing. That's the same thing to me.
Who, sorry?
I think I made it.
Oh, Pussy Riot.
You know what? I tried to dig myself. I was trying to dig myself out of a hole there because because I used to wear bimbo. Well, Sodom.
So I mean, this is the last time, your last podcast before the big day, isn't it? I mean, it's next time we're gonna have to have you're gonna have to move away from the camera a bit,
I have to move my mic, won't I?
Yeah.
Well, anyway, no, I don't want to dwell too much on that because I just don't want to draw attention to myself or anything like that.
Come on. I don't believe it.
Right. So where we're up to. So we're talking about. I was going to say, is anybody in the chat can think of like a famous trans woman who's just annoying? You think, oh my God, not her again, Miss Freda Wallace. No,
yeah, don't say Freda.
I'm not. I don't want you to. I don't want to like defame anybody or anything like that. But you see somebody come into the media, or you come on telly and you go, oh no. You know what I mean? Like,
as long as you don't start bleaching a permed bob and wearing the most basic red lipstick you can find.
Well, see, mine is Caitlyn Jenner. Every time I see Caitlyn Jenner, I'm like, get off my telly.
You find her annoying?
You know what I mean? I find her pretentious.
I find her opinions are really irritating.
Her opinions are rubbish. And
somebody's put Freda Wallace.
Another one is Blair White, and.
Don't really know much about Blair White.
These are not personal attacks, by the way. I'm not being catty. I'm not being bitchy or anything like that. I just don't like the way that they'll.
No, but is this down to the way that they're kind of promoting themselves, or the way that the media is promoting them, or what is it?
Because they're leaning into
because I know
they're leaning into Trumpism.
Yeah, but before Delaney was doing this Bud Light stuff and other things, you were a bit critical. Of her.
Yeah, of Dylan Mulvaney.
You saying that Dylan was a bit annoying, and she probably is.
But I learned. I did say that, but I.
But then you have to appreciate what she's doing with things like Bud Light.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. There's a distinction there.
That is huge.
Well, there is no redeeming feature about Caitlyn Jenner. You know what I mean? She's not doing anything for the trans world.
She's not. She's doing negative things.
Yeah. And it's depressing. Some people, but I suppose it's to do with not being in the real world. They don't live in the same social spaces as we do. It's like there are trans women I know, and it's not necessarily a negative thing, but they've never been in a gay scene. They never knew that LGBTQ scene. They never knew that queer scene because they never lived that life. Because like in Bolton where I live. To be socially myself, I had to escape and go to Manchester. And when I did that, I discovered rave music and this whole scene in Manchester and this club night called Tranarchy, for fuck's sake. And it was like, so I was part of that scene. And I feel like sometimes when people talk about their lives as it's like what you on about? It's like you've just gone from being, you had some middle class life, and now you've got a bit of a more glamorous middle class life. Just don't. Do you know what I mean?
Do you want to talk about that podcast that J.K. Rowling's been doing?
Oh my God,
that's really annoying. I know she's not trans, obviously, but I mean that's really annoying, and it all seems to be, the timing of it all is to do with the game that came out for the Harry Potter game, and now I was hearing on the radio this morning that there's a TV series coming out on HBO. Harry Potter TV series.
Oh,
so,
they just, you know what?
So all this podcast thing she's been doing. What was it called? It was the
Witch Trials of
the Witch Trials of J.K. Rowling.
And it's and the person interviewing her.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, but you know who's doing this? It's the Phelps family, the Westboro Baptist Church, who famously Louis Theroux interviewed, and they used to have the placards with "God hates fags" and all that. What's interesting to me, J.K. Rowling has found a worse cult to align herself with, because she's created this anti-trans. She's part of this whole manufactured anti-trans cult, which seems to propel her career now, which is really dangerous. Like
that whole podcast is damage control, because I'm sure somebody in the the business side of things has said we need to
right.
Fix
well,
up
I'm gonna say something quite heavy now, right? And I don't want to be But what happened? Right, what happened with Brian and Jai? Some people said when I was on Twitter saying if you make a hostile environment online for trans people, don't be surprised when stuff like this happens. Don't be surprised when trans girls get killed, right? And I wasn't accusing anybody of saying anything specific, but when you are somebody like J.K. Rowling, who will literally, deliberately use a promotions company that will go on Twitch and choose trans gamers and transphobic gamers to promote your products, then you are complicit in the atmosphere of disinformation and harm done to trans people. Mm-hmm. Now, that might sound like an imaginative leap, but it's not, because the people, I can't remember the guy's name, but the guy, maybe somebody in the chat knows, but because I'm not a gamer, but I read a little bit about it, because there's a guy called Keemstar, and he's quite a big Twitch and YouTube guy, and he did a Twitch a live stream where he was one of the first people to get the Harry Potter game, the latest one. I forgot what it's called. Harry Potter and the Stick of Wood. Harry Potter and the Tedious Bollocks that I can't be bothered to remember.
That's probably what it's called. Yeah.
So, and he was given the job of promoting it as one of the people because he has such a massive following. But part of the promotion was to get trans people and use their comments. And do you know what I mean? He fully leaned into the idea that J.K. Rowling is famous for this transphobia. And now I don't know if he did. I don't know if that was part of a plan. I don't know if it's part, but even if it isn't part of the plan, they're fully aware that it's going on.
It's all related to rehabbing of JKR to promote products. That's all it is. They've obviously seen a dip in sales and a dip in, the money coming in based on all the business stuff. So they're trying to rehab her.
Keemstar, right? Keemstar, and there's another account called Keffels. Now, Keffels is a trans gamer, trans YouTuber, and she's had all this shit with... she was basically stalked and almost killed by people from Kiwi Farms. And Kiwi Farms was like a troll site that got shut down. It's honestly, when I start talking about this stuff, I feel like I'm going down a fucking wormhole. But
she's having cops showing up, guns drawn, because someone's reported her to the police for something. I'm not sure what you call that.
So you've got these gamers, you've got these famous gamers, really massive accounts on Twitch, talking about J.K. Rowling's new product. Now don't tell me that isn't part of their promotional strategy. It's all part of it,
yeah. They do things so that people will talk about it.
So then don't turn around to me and say young people are not seeing this. Because part of the argument of what happened with Brianna was, it's just so random. How were those little kids going to know anything about the trans? But little kids have parents and older siblings, and these things filter down. Right, because for months before that happened, there were two stories in the on Twitch and on Instagram and on YouTube and on Twitter, and those two stories were one about a trans rapist and one about J.K. Rowling's new computer video game, and those were the two main stories. So, forgive me for connecting those two things, but that's not me accusing anybody of anything or suggesting that the words of one person led to something. But when you create a culture where nobody's calling that shit out, that's when you get dangerous situations. Now, you could say I'm using Brian's memory there to make a political point. You could make that argument. You could actually say that. But maybe I am, because there is a political point. Do you know what I mean? People don't get killed randomly for no reason. It's because there's a culture there that is dehumanizing people.
We've got somebody in the chat there saying that JK is a hero. Go Team Turf. So
there we go.
Yeah.
We're going to get the odd one. We are going to get the odd one. But, let them embarrass themselves. Because, people that do support J.K. Rowling like that, imagine if J.K. Rowling could see that. Imagine if J.K. Rowling could, for 1 minute, just follow the hashtag I stand with J.K. Rowling, because I'll tell you what, she wouldn't want to stand with any of those people. She wouldn't invite them to stand anywhere near her, because those people are dangerous. And she must know that. She's not daft.
Yeah.
She might be a psychopath, but she's not.
So I've deleted those comments.
Oh, it's all right. Don't worry about that.
Put Pinocchio and Friends in timeout.
Do you know what? I was expecting a bit of that today because I have been like.
Yeah, I mean, we've never had it before, but I've got to keep an eye on the some of these messages.
I like a nice kind of. We are the best kept secret on YouTube, aren't we? Do you know what I mean? Like, we are the what's the word? The most unknown best trans podcast ever. I want to keep it that way.
I think we're doing okay.
No, I don't really. I want to monetize.
Yeah, you can't. You have to. I think you have to have. What is it? 1,000 subscribers to even think about monetizing.
I'll tell you what. If we ever get 1,000,
we don't do it for that.
I'll tell you what. Right. If we ever get 1,000 subscribers, every one of these people in this chat gets a cut of everything we ever make ever.
Right, you heard it first.
If you can,
except Pinocchio and Friends, they don't get anything.
Yeah. I mean, if you can't tolerate me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best. Anyway, so Kelly J. Keane's little attack dogs have been out for me today.
I'm sure you've got a lot of hate online today because of that.
Oh, yeah.
New followers.
I wouldn't call it hate. No.
Right. You'll have got a lot of comments. You'll have got a lot of
attack
negative
dogs.
Comments, attack dogs, all that stuff. Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, what I call attack dogs don't bother me. What does bother me is, people that try and people that creep into your DMs and try and be your friend. Do you know what I mean? That is insidious. I can tolerate the people that go straight in there and they're because I can just delete it or I can block it. What frightens me is when people start to try and have a conversation with me. Yeah, those are the ones you've got to watch out for.
Yeah, the one who's trying to actually engage you and start asking personal questions. You mean those? Do you know what? Oh, here comes Plankton. Sneaks in late.
I'm trying to read the chat, but so much going on my screen. Can you see the chat, Vicky?
Yeah. Roger's just showed up.
Hey, Roger.
Yeah.
So, we're talking about what we're going to have to do is start at the beginning again just for Plankton.
Just for Roger? No, I don't think so.
We have to go. We have to say everything.
If he's showing up late, that's his problem.
No, Vicky, I'm telling you, we've got to say everything verbatim as we said it in the last 40 minutes just for Roger because that's just how we roll. Because that's the kind of generosity and what's the kind of dedication to content and quality content that we have on the Gendered Nebulous podcast. And speaking of quality content, I got this today. Stormy
Daniels.
But you know what? The reason I've got this is because I love Stormy Daniels. Mainly because she should be president of the United States.
Oh, she'd do a better job than Trump, wouldn't she?
I've been looking. I'm not going to open it up too much. Am I allowed to open it up on live pod?
Well, we got the 18 plus settings, so it should be okay. Except Penthouse might sue you for copyright.
I'm going to look exactly like this.
Is that what you're going to look like? Okay.
Yeah. You've seen the film Weird Science? There's somebody feeding pictures of Stormy Daniels into a computer right now, and what's going to come out is me. And they're going to want the money back.
What have you been drinking, by the way? It's the Bud Light. I think it's having a weird effect on you today.
What's the matter? Anyway, my main
somebody in the chat had said that Bud Light contains HRT, so it's actually good for us.
Joking.
Can't remember who it was now. It's oh my word, Stormy Freda.
How'd you pronounce
Stormy Freda? I think that's the best comment of the night so far.
Miss Cassidy. I'm really bad at names. How would you pronounce your name? Write it phonetically.
We've had this conversation before.
Right.
I think she might be. I think she's been on this Bud Lights all afternoon in preparation for her surgery tomorrow.
Yeah. So I'm having my surgery tomorrow. and Vicky's taking me.
I'm
You're
going
my
to take
escort.
you, and I'm going to come pick you up afterwards because I'm such a nice person.
Stormy Freda. Somebody put Stormy
I know,
Freda
I said that
chat.
like 5 minutes ago. You weren't even
I'm
listening.
sorry, I've only just known. Shira Cassidy. Shira. No, I said
Share.
Shah.
I don't know.
I'm just going to say Miss Cassidy. So anyway, let me get back onto the subjects of the
I
pod.
forgot what the subject was then.
Right, so it's like I was talking about
Perception.
Stormy Daniels. Right, so women, like even trans women in the media, like I was on the who am I, right? I've got a few thousand followers. I'm on Twitter, but even me, just being on the telly, got so much abuse today that imagine what it's like for somebody with 100,000 followers or maybe 1 million followers. You just would not, it zone out. It's become this massive torrent of abuse. But it's not just trans women that get that, right? Because we talked about this before, and you kind of made a distinction that maybe, I was a bit hazy about, but it's like, Katie Price, famous women, whatever, they always get attacked for the way they look, no matter what they say. Even somebody like Naga Munchetty, when there's a video of her put onto Twitter, and you look at the comments, it's the same kind of men, it's the same kind of misogyny. It could be, and they'll use the same kind of pejoratives about looking mannish and all this thing because they're trying to diminish that female power.
I think it doesn't matter. I think the conclusion we came to was it doesn't matter which woman you pick who's in the media.
Yeah,
they're all attacked for something. Whether it's being married to Prince Harry.
Yeah, exactly. Look at Meghan
Markle, or whether it's Stormy for what was going on with Trump. In both cases. They're attacked, but it's for different reasons. But the common theme is they're women and they're being attacked using misogyny. That's the thing, isn't it? It's like think of any woman who's famous, like Hillary. What about Hillary Clinton?
Hillary Clinton. It's always a thing. The thing is about like politics and women. Like if you look at, it doesn't like. I'm sure there are people out there that listen to politics and but more even. Like it doesn't happen to male politicians in the same way. Where people...
It doesn't. I mean, Nicola Sturgeon, Hillary Clinton, both politicians, both attacked for slightly different reasons. One because they're up against Trump, and Trump was using every dirty trick in the book. Nicola Sturgeon gets attacked for supporting trans rights, Scottish independence. They get attacked, and it does always come down to it always seems to appear that it's men attacking them on. For
well, it's the interesting thing. It's not just men attacking them misogynistically. Women do it as well.
Yeah, women do it too.
What I was watching was recently, excuse me, Nicola Sturgeon's husband has been found to have been fraud, involved in some fraud to do with funding and stuff. Now, look at that story. And look at how many journalists actually focused on. Now, I know that Nicola is the more famous member of that couple because she was the SNP and Scottish leader. That's a fact. But the way that they even kind of tried to make the connection that she was the problem, like in any situation like that, I would say, well, get rid of him. Do you know what I mean? It's actually like it's a get out of jail free card for her now. That's how I'd see it. Any way you can get a divorce quickly is good as far as I'm concerned. So. But all the hate and all the weird misogyny again is obviously coming towards Nicola Sturgeon, even though it's obviously her husband that is the criminal.
But we don't know what's happened, do we? I mean,
we could be conjecture all this. Maybe she's guilty of sin. I don't know, but it doesn't matter because the fact is nobody knows. But they won't fill in those. But
blanks. There's some financial thing the police are investigating. But I mean, why were there tents on the front lawn? I mean, what's going on there?
I don't know. I don't know anything about the point I'm making is it's about men focusing on the problem being the woman, no matter what. So, like even in this case of the story of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, obviously the press will come for Harry, but it always comes harder at Meghan. It's her fault. But and it's like this. That's true of any kind of famous couple. It seems to follow that trend. So when I'm complaining about people ripping me to bits on Twitter, it's like, well, I'm in good company because princesses get the same treatment. So yeah, me and Megan, we're like two peas in a pod. We both get the same misogyny. It's great. So
I mean, Victoria Elizabeth's making a good point there. It's incredibly dodgy for the party secretary to be in a relationship with a leader. I mean, that is true too.
yeah, that's true. Yeah. It's a bit of a cabal, isn't it? Well, you shouldn't, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how that happened, or if it's even relevant that party leader and the secretary.
Well, I don't know what's going on there. I didn't know anything about Scottish politics until this gender recognition thing.
In fact, if that relationship existed in a company, they would probably not be allowed to work together. So it's a very good point, that.
Yeah.
Money stashed under the patio.
Well, I know. But what I'm saying is, within stories like that, people like to fill in the blanks, don't they? And it's always the woman that seems to come off worse. So, like, and that's what I'm saying about even like trans women in the media. They get the misogyny, and then the added kind of thing of it's kind of legitimized in a way because it's not really misogyny because you're a man, which is like a double whammy. It's like, that's the way you could see it, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
A couple of funny ones here. Princess Freda, which royal would you marry?
Which royal would I marry? They're all weird, aren't they, the royals? I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
It doesn't have to be one of the English ones. Could be any.
Prince Bertie of Monaco.
There you go. And then, I mean, it's nice that the secretary was a man for once. Yeah, that's a good point too.
Yeah. There's that thing as well of like if a man is like if a man is second in command to a woman, he must be a weak man because obviously there's something.
Well, you
wrong
see
with
that
him,
you see that with all politics where like the woman is the important one and the guy's just the husband. Yeah, he's always just like he's looked upon as a weak man because he's not the important one. That's misogyny.
Yeah. Well, like the other case of that I always remember, and it's a strange one. It's like Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton, and what happened with Monica Lewinsky. Because I think about Stormy Daniels in the same way I think about Monica Lewinsky, because she's the moral character in that story. Stormy Daniels is the moral character in this story. The media don't want you to see that, but she is. And Monica Lewinsky was the man. She might have done things wrong. She might have, misled people, but in the end, I think either Monica Lewinsky or Stormy Daniels should be president of the United States.
Yeah,
that would be the win. That would be the win of the century, as far as I'm concerned. Who would be the win of the century for a prime minister? Of everyone.
Mary Black.
Me, obviously.
Mary Black will be my choice.
Well, no, but I meant as a politician, Mary Black is amazing, and I would love to see Mary Black escalate into the, into the Commons and all. But I was thinking somebody that isn't really a politician, but is a moral, that's had an experience a bit like, say, of misogyny. Do you know what is interesting, though? I just thought of this. Meghan Markle, technically speaking, is the only woman in the world that could be at once President of the United States and a Queen of England. I know she can't be Queen now because but potentially if something happened,
yeah, that is possible actually. Yeah,
but that's why they fear her. Oh my God! Because if they'd stayed, if they'd have, say, if Harry had said,
well, they don't want an American who's Queen. That's obvious. That's happened before, almost.
Mr. Blobby for Prime Minister.
Mr. Blobby. John Major loves Freda.
I'm just looking at the chat.
The royal who isn't fascist is the one you should marry. The ginger bald one. I thought your main gal was Margaret of what's that? Anjou.
Yeah, when I was talking
which
about
royals aren't fascists, not many. the one's not inbred. John Major loves Freda.
When I was talking about Nicola Sturgeon and her husband, then I used the word cabal, and I hate using that. I should not use. I hate it when people use that, and I hate that where the way that word is used. So I'm just going to mention that now because I think I was just like riffing on something there, but I just want to say I just hate that word. But
what word? Sorry?
And cabal.
Oh, right.
To mean like a conspiracy or a group of people. You know why? And so what I was gonna so when let me just say about you know when there's a woman, something happens to a woman. It could be she wasn't famous before, but something happens that propels her into the spotlight, right? You know, like there was a famous case now. Oh God, what she was called? She made a tweet, and it was like a sort of racist tweet, and she was on this flight, and while she was on this flight, and she got to a destination, Twitter blew up.
I don't recall who that was.
Maybe something in chat, but there was this story about this lady, and she made a tweet, and it was supposed to be a joke, slightly racist, and then she tweeted it, and then she went on a flight, which was like a 12-hour flight, and turned the phone off.
Yeah, I remember something.
And when she got to a destination, she was fired, and there had been a massive Twitter pile-on, and it was
the
John
result
Ronson.
of that? What happened?
Well, she
by the time she's landed, it had blown up.
It was suicidal at one point. John Ronson made a podcast about it. But it's a really good story. It's a great story though. It's like because John Ronson. I don't know if you've heard of John Ronson, but he was the guy that did Things Fell Apart, and he did the episode about the origin of the acronym TERF, trans exclusionary radical feminist. And he looked at the history of that. He missed a few bits out, and there's a few criticisms of it. But I think it's really good. I think it's really interesting. There's some other bits of that I didn't know, and it's really interesting now that it's interesting how an idea becomes mainstream, or an idea comes from one source and trickles its way into a common knowledge. And that's what I think that's what Things Fall Apart, the podcast, is about, really. It's about how something innocuous becomes, or something people didn't mean.
Here's a thought. What about Kim Petras for president? And
Kim Petras.
And Sam could be prime minister.
Kim Petras and her coconuts. Oh yeah, Kim Petras. You know what? I don't know though. You know what? I don't. You see, I look at Kim Petras and I think, oh, she's so pretty, and she's really fun. But would you trust her with the foreign policy?
I would actually. She couldn't do a worse job than the current people, could she? I mean, that would be really difficult. Actually, Kim Petras does follow you on Twitter. I don't know if you're aware of that.
You know what? She gets all her ideas from me. Kim Petras. She when Kim Petras gets up in the morning, she goes, "Oh, I better find out what
account. It can't be the real Kim Petras.
I better give over." She goes, "I better find out what Freda's done, because then I can get some ideas from my videos." And then she goes on to
I can imagine
a music software. Because Kim Petras started out doing.
Okay, let's get Kim on the show, and we can ask her these questions. She follows you, so you could send her a message. You send her a message and say, "Kim, we want you on the show. We've got a few questions."
I'm going to now message Kim Petras in real time.
Okay, real time. Let's see if she'll come on in real time.
She's online now.
Let's see if she'll come on in real time. That would be amazing.
I'm going to mind her.
Let's see if we can do this.
Okay. Right. Wait a minute. What am I writing here? Exactly.
Say hi, Kim.
Dear Kim.
Dear Kim, would you like to come on the live podcast?
Hi, Kim. Would you like to hook up? Hi, Kim. I'm getting tits tomorrow.
Hi, Kim. We think you should be president, and we think Sam Smith should be prime minister. And we'd like you to come on the podcast right now, and we'll send you a link.
Right. Hi, Kim. We think you. Oh shit. We think you should be prime minister of the UK. Keep talking, Vicky. I'm dyslexic. I'm also dyspraxic, so that's
get her on the show. Come on. Go on, Freda. Do your magic.
Of the UK. I'm live.
So Sarah Warner's saying the woman whose tweet blew up was actually criticising her own white privilege.
Yeah. I'm live now on a podcast.
The Gender Nebulous podcast. Please come on and have a chat.
Send us a hello. Right, it's sent.
Let's see if she does it.
Right.
That would be amazing.
Well, she's actually online and she's posted about a tour. She's doing some tour day. Let's see what she says. Anyway, we'll leave that with Kim. Right, and we'll come back and by the end of the podcast, we'll see if she's replied. This is like one of those tricks that kids play on ADHD children.
How are we going to get the link to her for the Zoom?
And see if it's still there when we come back.
How are we going to get the link for the Zoom? Because
well, I'm going to send.
You've got it right. You've got the link because I sent it to you earlier. So if you send her that link, and then if I keep an eye on the who's in the call,
where she's in the world, it might be. Oh my God! It might be like 3 o'clock in the morning where she is. I don't know. What time is it in California?
I have no idea. They're behind.
Well, you should know.
Okay. They're behind us, not ahead of us.
How are we supposed to get international pop stars on our podcast if you don't know what time it is in California?
It's going to be 7 hours behind, 7 or 8 hours behind. So it's
right. So anyway, and we move on a little bit because I'm just going to. I don't want to be distracted by Twitter because I just put Twitter on to message Kim.
Have you sent her the link? That's the important thing.
Yeah.
Right.
I spoke to our Kim. And now I've got loads of shit to read off Twitter and I don't want to look at it. So just leave it for a minute. Right.
So 8 hours behind, but then Victoria Elizabeth says, I think she lives in Germany.
Right.
So she'll be 2 hours ahead, maybe?
2 hours in front.
If she's in Germany, maybe. Is it 2 hours or 1 hour? I don't know. But anyway, it would be amazing if she could jump on, or maybe she could go and watch on YouTube and give us a message. I don't know.
Right, we'll see. Anyway, so well, carrying on from what I was saying about.
Yeah, what were you saying? I got distracted now.
No, because I follow quite a few trans YouTubers and trans people on Twitch and stuff like that, and I tend to like the ones that don't talk about trans issues.
Well, this is a really good point because we shouldn't, as trans people, we shouldn't spend our entire day and night talking about trans issues. We shouldn't. I mean, I know it's important and I know there are some really, serious issues that we do need to talk about, but, there are things that we need to do in our lives, which are not related to being trans. And it's important that we, I think when we focus on all the things that we do in our lives and don't kind of neglect things because we're worried about what's going on in the press and stuff.
I think because we're both political people, like we're very much engaged in the political landscape. We have to talk about it. That's our hobby in a way, isn't it? It's like what we it's like you won't believe what's happened now, kind of a thing we've got going on. But it's like we like I like it when we have a guest because then
you get their opinions, don't you?
You get real information then because I mean, it's all right me whittering on about what I think of this and what I think of that, because I know you all love that so much. But yeah, I mean, I'm just looking up things on Google and then saying, oh, I found this out. But if you talk to somebody whose job it is to know, like Professor Stephen Whittle, who we're going to interview, who's actually a lawyer and.
He's a professor of law.
A PhD
he's
of law.
At Manchester University, isn't he? So
we're going to talk to him
he's coming
about
on in a week,
his life,
week and a bit.
And it's going to be great.
That's going to be interesting because we're going to quiz him on all this Scottish GR stuff and the EHRC stuff. That's going to be an interesting one.
Because like when I go on to things like on Talk TV or GB News or LBC, it's people like that I ask. Like if I know I'm going to go on to a show and talk about something, I'll say, have I got this right? And if they say, well, hang on a minute, you've got, because a lot of the time I'll read something and I think I've got it right because I'm a bit of a speed reader, do you know what I mean? And I want to get to the kind of polemic of it. But if you give it to somebody who's actually a kind of, it's like giving it to a surgeon, giving it to somebody who knows it in detail, and they say, well, you're talking rubbish there because you know what I mean? Like that's good. That's a good person to have around. Is anybody else in the chat?
I was just checking to see if Kim was waiting to come into the room.
But no, wait a minute. Kim, come on, Kim. Oh my God, she's so slow today. You know, usually she's
Stephen
just straight
Whittle
in
is
there.
the best. He's absolutely amazing guy. I did have the privilege of meeting him in Manchester a while ago. He's a really, really nice guy. Can't wait till he comes
we
on.
know some nice people. And we need to get more guests. Because I'm trying to think who can we have. I think there's some random guest we could have. Kim Petras, obviously.
Sam Smith is another one.
I think we might be aiming a bit high, you know, with the guests.
Well, you got to aim high. If you aim high and you miss, you might get somebody else. You know, so if you aim low, you're just gonna hit the floor, aren't you? Yeah, so
I was thinking about asking Indy Willoughby.
Indy Willoughby, yeah.
And anybody got any ideas? Like if people
yeah,
can
anybody?
actually...
Yeah, that's good idea. Anybody in the chat? Who should we have on?
Maybe somebody out.
I mean, we're saying
Roger.
we can get these people on, but we're just cheeky. We just ask and see what happens.
yeah. Like, I mean, like, in one sense, like, it's really interesting to talk to somebody who's like a PhD lawyer, or somebody like Paul Bloomer, who's like a community advocate, and we had Eva Echo, who's, you know, won every award because she's amazing. Yeah, Kirsty, and we've had these great people, but why don't we just have somebody that's just, you know, a scruff? I don't know. You know? I was trying to think of something. I don't know.
There's some crazy comments coming in.
Let's just drag somebody in off the street.
Vicky doesn't know Freda's getting hot in the doctor's shop because she's getting some.
Freda doesn't know. Oh, Vicky doesn't know. Freda's getting hot in the doctor's shop because she's getting some bubblies.
Some
boobies. Ricky doesn't know Freda's getting hot at the pound shop buying scrubbers and soapies or something. Oh, we've gone way off block.
Who's Richie Allen? I don't know who Richie Allen is.
Richie Hawtwin.
Richie Allen.
Richie Hawtwin makes techno.
What?
Oh, Richie Allen. Oh my God, this guy.
Richie Allen? Is it Allen? Richie Allen? Or?
Yeah, he's like a right-wing kind of conspiracy theory podcaster. He's a sort of Irish. Is he Irish? Not that matters, but he's like a David Icke kind of person. Isn't it interesting? Like, I was just thinking about this. You know, Talk Radio, Talk TV, they used to have David Icke on all the time. You know, like in the first incarnation of Talk Radio, they would have him on, and like for us a bit of James Whale used to have him on all the time.
David Icke.
Entertainment. No, all the time he would have him on, and it was like, but when this, you know, social media became as powerful as it is, and I think it was at the beginning of COVID when David Icke was because obviously he's the kind of person that people, you know, I mean, I don't know. On one hand, I don't agree with people being deplatformed, especially if they're somebody, because I don't think David Icke is somebody who's dangerous. Maybe Alex Jones was, because he was kind of, you know, he was getting in there with power. You know, he was interviewing President Trump, and before he was president. We shouldn't really refer to him as President Trump. We should just refer him to as Idiot Trump.
Idiot Trump, yeah.
But yeah, I think that could be dangerous. But because there was a video today out, the BBC, with Elon Musk, and the BBC journalist kind of stumbles a bit because they're talking about what is hate speech and what is permissible and what we. So Elon Musk is saying, well, just because you're offended doesn't mean somebody else is. But that's not really an argument. You have to have consensus about what is offensive, because we know there are certain words that are when they're aimed at certain people mean more than they do when they're aimed at another person. You can't tell me that just because you're offended, then if you're not offended, then you don't have to be. That's the very definition of gaslighting.
Well, you need to be sensitive of, you know, who's around, who's listening to what you're saying, don't you? I mean, why would you say something that offends somebody if you know it offends them? It's just,
Yeah. I
It's
think
just
it's to do with
ridiculous.
how you. It's to do right. It's not the words, right? Because I could say something offensive now
Yeah,
about
it's not. Yeah,
myself,
it's not just the words; it's the way
and
you
I
say
and
it
I
and the
can
way
make
you,
it
the
funny. I
meaning
can
behind
make it
it.
funny, but if I was to aim those words at an individual and then encourage other individuals to use them words and that in a targeted, focused way,
Mm.
and that's what happens on Twitter. That is not free speech. That is funneled hate.
Yeah,
It's like free speech. Free speech implies there's some kind of noble cause, and the speech is flying like butterflies. But no, free speech in terms of Twitter means funneled, laser guided, pointed, burning the ant with a magnifying glass kind of hatred on one person. That's not free speech. That's a conspiracy against somebody. Please
so
don't confuse the
who
two.
who lives near us? Who's that? Who lives near you? Who does? David Icke?
Who lives near me? Oh my
I
God,
don't know.
don't
One of the
frighten
comments. I'm not
me.
sure who they are.
Richie Hallen.
I don't know. Don't know where he lives. Yeah,
Anyway,
but
so
yeah,
yeah, so
Alexandra.
free speech.
The intent matters. Yeah, absolutely, it does.
I mean, I'll tell you something
Go on then.
for definite,
Tell me something.
I'll tell you something. The people that talk about free speech constantly never have anything nice to say. Have you noticed that?
It does kind of.
They never go. They never go. Wait, hang on. I need my free
Okay,
speech.
so
Let
it's
me get in
Richie.
there.
It's Richie Allen that lives near us, apparently.
I hope not. Where does he live? Let's just check. Because
Bolton.
don't tell people where I live.
You already said it earlier in the podcast.
Anyway, Farmworth. Right. I was gonna say I was going on a roll then.
Yeah, freedom of speech is
oh
not
my God,
freedom
this
from
is so
consequences.
Yes, exactly. So what I'm saying is like, there's nobody that's fighting people off, going, "Oh, I need my freedom, so get out of my way. Can I have my freedom of speech?" And then going, "Oh my God, you're beautiful."
Oh, Salford. He lives in Salford. Salford.
Oh, Salford. All right, it's not too media city.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah. So people that campaign for the freedom of expression of speech, in that sense, tend not to want to say anything good on the internet. Now, in real world stuff, yeah, you could argue that is,
Well, I mean, they say, "Oh, it's free speech." That's just the excuse for them saying what they want to say, and not being responsible for the consequences. And they just, it's all put under that cover. Oh, it's free speech. Yeah, okay,
but in a world,
think of the consequences before you open your big gob.
In a world of free speech, imagine a world, right, of absolute free speech. What would that reveal? Because people are like, oh my God, could you imagine if people just hurt each other with words? It's not really about that. It's about, imagine a world where people didn't think about the thing they was going to say.
Well, people just said whatever they wanted to, and to hell with the consequences, and we'll all just say what we want.
Yeah, okay.
And then everybody who's getting offended or getting hurt, or some of those words, I know they're just words, but there's intent, there's evil, nasty intent behind them, and others pick up on it and take action based on that. So that's the thing that does the harm.
Yeah, so like Ms. White is saying this guy absolutely hates us all, but do you know some of the people that are vocal about anti-trans stuff? Some of the people that are most vocal, I can deal with them. It's the people that are using dog whistles and saying, "Oh, we just care about women's prisons, or we just care about single-sex spaces, or we just care about sports." Them people are more dangerous to me, because not only are they hating us, but they're trying to convince other people to hate us too by manufacturing an argument that only exists mostly in their mind. No, that's not to say there shouldn't be safeguarding in prisons. That's not to say that scientists who monitor hormone levels in sport shouldn't be involved in sport. That's not me saying there are certain situations where vulnerable women may have to have extra safeguarding. Nobody is saying that. What we're saying is you just concocted this argument to use as a weapon against somebody you'll never meet and somebody you'll never have an experience with. You've just manufactured and built an argument around hate. And that's what it is. Anybody that's got KPSS, keep prisons single sex in their profile, they don't care about women in prison. Hey, the first problem with keep prisons single sex is the keep prisons bit. Because if you cared about women in prison, you wouldn't be thinking about keeping them in prison. You dumb bastards. Anyway, you can cut that bit.
I can't cut anything. It's live.
Hang on, let me just see if Kim's been in touch.
Oh yeah, Kim.
Right, live hook up now to Germany. Is it Germany she's in?
No, she's not waiting in the...
She's not replying. Can you believe it? After all that, she's not replying. She's seen it.
She probably will. She'll probably reply.
It says seen. She's seen the message and chosen not to reply. So Kim, Petrus, all that money has...
Hi, Kim.
All them... Sorry, if you're watching, sorry, Kim. I really like your last album. It was fantastic.
You can come on if you want. Just ignore Freda. She's just being nasty because you're not responded. But you can come on.
I'll send her a love heart.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a bit disappointed, Kim. You know. After everything, after all we've been through.
She's probably busy recording some music, you know. Anyway, Freda, we've been nattering away here for an hour and 20 minutes. You know.
Well, that's not long enough.
We've been going way over our hourly slots.
I'm sorry, it's been really chaotic. It's been really chaotic.
Yeah, you've been ghosted. You've been ghosted. So I think what we should do is give the final word to your
Kim Petrus.
No, to your small coconuts.
Yeah.
Let them have the final word because it's the last time we're going to see them.
Most of this, right?
Do they have anything to say?
Padded bra.
Do they have anything to say?
They said, "Nice knowing you," and we're expanding now out into the world. We're emancipating. We're and next time you see me, I'll be strapped up. We're doing.
How long are you going to be strapped up for? I don't know how long it takes to recover. Is it a couple of weeks?
Well, they have to put like a special bra on you for about 4 or 5 days. But you have to wash, I suppose. I
think you should be able to shower with that, shouldn't you? I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you'll find out.
Right. Well, I want to thank everybody who's tolerated us for the last hour.
Yes, thank you for the toleration. I think what we should do.
This is your first time.
What we should do is award somebody the tweet of the night. Sorry, not the tweet of the night. The comment of the night. And I'm going to vote for. Vicky doesn't know. Freda's getting hot in the doctor's shop because she's getting some boobies. I think that's the winner for me tonight. I don't know what you think, Freda.
Yeah, Miss Cassidy.
Yeah, I think
that's the winning.
That's the winner.
What?
There's no prize. You've just won.
There is a prize.
Oh, there's a prize. What's the prize?
You win your very own shadow. So for tonight,
Victoria Elizabeth says, "I'll see you both next time," and Vicky as well.
That's brilliant. Oh, I love that.
That's the runner.
Right. So yeah. And, let's get some Stormy Daniels on.
Yeah, let me just remove the
Stormy, come on, be president for me.
Let's put us back to full size. There we go.
Right. I'm going to have a shower
We're going to do the song. We're going to do the song.
Oh yeah, we've not done. We never do the song right.
Well, we have to try.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll do a version of it first because I am classically trained.
God help us.
Why are you laughing? I am.
Classically
listen.
trained,
Right. I'll do my full opera. I'll take it. Hang on. I've got a bit of a stuffy now. Right, you ready? Because this is how it should go. Right.
Okay.
It goes up. It's like, don't forget to subscribe. That's the annotation. Right. Okay, so
yeah.
If you can follow, don't forget.
I have to say that's so beautiful.
Right, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, 3. Don't forget to
subscribe.
No.
Not classically trained in anything.
On that terrible note.
Okay, are we going to say bye?
But lights all round.
Bye for now.
Much love to.
See you later.
Dylan Mulvaney. We should get Dylan Mulvaney on the podcast. Bye.
Is Kim? Is she there yet? Is she give her a last chance to come on?
Just a quick chat. She said, "Stop mithering me, you complete weirdo. This is the 65th time you've messaged me this week. Please stop."
Sorry, Kim. We apologise. It won't happen again. I'll take care of her.
time for some chips.
Okay, it's time to go. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for tolerating.